just kind of, you know, rises up from the map from nowhere. But yeah, in the middle of the map is the flag called Hilltop, which is the B flag, and that base is really, really, really dense. Like it's a really small base. The top of the hill is just really clusterfucked and just really small and compact, and there are about 3 buildings that people can hide in, which you can also destroy completely, just ruin, and you know, which is good to a certain degree. But once you've destroyed all the buildings there, there's no cover. There's like just minimal cover for people to be able to capture the flag. But I guess this is good and bad because, well, I mean, it's kind of good because if you're defending the flag, if you have the flag and you're defending against the opponents that are coming, because it's a hill, because you have to climb up the hill, you already have the advantage of height. So they can't really see you, but you can see them perfectly. You see their every move when they're trying to come up that hill. As long as you don't let them actually come up the hill, you'll be fine. It's really easy to shoot people down, and if you let them come up and you've destroyed all the buildings, there's very little cover, so you have to take them out quickly. And the downside is obviously for the attackers, it's one of the harder. I'd argue that it's the second hardest map to capture, the first being the antenna, but the second hardest map, or not map, the base, the second hardest base to capture. But it's not impossible, definitely not, because DICE, as I said, the map design is phenomenally good. There are multiple ways up that hilltop. There are about, let me see if I can just count them really quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5. There are 5 different ways up that mountain, which is just fantastic. Which, I mean, if you have people on Ventrilo or TeamSpeak or fucking Skype or whatever, and you can actually coordinate with your teammates, you can, you know, tell 2 different squads that, hey, Squad Bravo, you can go up the western side of the hill, and Alpha Squad, you go up the northern side, and then you can kind of flank make a coordinated attack and just flank the opponent right there and then. So yeah, I mean, B flag a little tougher to capture, but not impossible, and definitely not if you have like a chopper or something on your side that's just ready to support you. Then you can just call it in and say, hey, we need a lot of bullets, just rain down fire on B. He just makes a sweeping pass, just nukes B all to hell, and then you can just, you know, just waltz up there because the chopper's already warmed everything up for you. So yeah, OP for the defenders? Nah, not really. Again, ABC feels very balanced flags. Very balanced. I mean, yeah, it doesn't feel like it favors the attackers or the defenders. It's just up to the players' creativity and their, you know, sense for teamwork and their coordination. And if they have all that, capturing a flag shouldn't be a problem at all. Now for the D flag. D flag is the most clusterfucky flag, but not the hardest one to capture. There's just so much shit there. There's like a bunch of containers on one side. There's a building and a barracks on this side. There's this kind of not a trench line. It's just like a, you know, a long line of barbed wire that separates the 2 borders from each other. Hence the Caspian border. There's a big borderline, and there's like a big fence, you know, just crossing, going from the D flag all the way up towards the antenna, the E flag. And that I mean, there's a lot of rubble, there's a lot of cover, there's a lot of, you know, frustrating shit that you have to jump over, and there's the fence that I mentioned that you have to knife and get through. There's the house, a big building just next to the flag. There's the barracks, a lot of containers, a lot of, you know, just cars that have been left by the owners as they were trying to escape from the war zone, from the hells, the terror of war. And but no, not I mean that flag feels like it can get really clusterfucky. I mean, I had some amazing games where I just, you know, just rushed towards that flag with like 10 other guys on my team. Just an amazing feeling. I mean, I mean that's how hard it is to well, not how hard it is, but how hard it can be to capture that flag if you have defenders there, and especially since the D flag is one of the more open flags. It's a lot easier for tanks and vehicles and just generally everyone. It's just easier for everyone to see exactly what's going on D. Not so much in C because of all the trees and bushes. It's a lot harder for, you know, a tank to drive in there, or a helicopter to see through the treetops. And the hilltop, it's easier for you know, a helicopter to see, but for a tank to drive up there, it's like, yeah, you know, you could spend you know, spend some better time with a tank than driving up that hill. And equally for A, you know, that's a great all-round map. You can capture the flag with a vehicle and with infantry. But D is just, you know, where A is a lot, you know, it's very closed in. It feels like it's like very closed in. You know, it's like a little village. It's got a lot of houses, farms, fences, the gas station that's actually dynamic, which you can actually blow up, which I love. That's awesome. But where that map is a little more, or that base is a little more closed off, D flag, the checkpoint is just so open, and just it really invites all kinds of different tactics. Just invites every kind of vehicle to just participate in a large clusterfuck of hell. It's a really it's a really fun and interesting base. And again, that one feels like, because of its clusterfuck, it can get a little harder to capture it. But yeah, that's one of those maps where you really need to coordinate with your team. You need to go, no lone wolves. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. Just don't go and try to, you know, capture that flag on your own. There's usually a jeep or a BTR or a tank there somewhere in the vicinity. There's usually an entire squad in the proximity of the D flag, so you really need to be more than 4 guys trying to capture the D flag. All the other flags, like I can capture the C flag, I can capture gas station by my own, I can capture hilltop by my own, no problem, because they're so dense, and it feels like it's a lot easier to catch your opponents in these very narrow sideways and hallways, and you can capture them as they're, you know, looking down a certain street. You can capture them. You can just catch them off their guard a lot easier than you can on D, because it's so open and you can see basically everything that's going on. But you know, with a couple of teammates, it shouldn't be a problem capturing it at all. Now, finally, it's the antenna, right? The antenna is just a pain in the fucking ass. The D flag is open, but compared to the antenna, it's goddamn urban warfare. Like, it's like, compared to antenna, D flag is just a closed off jail. Like, that's how confined D seems compared to E. E is basically it's the big antenna that we've all seen in the trailers and everything. That's E. And there's just a little ridge, a bunch of boulders, a bunch of rocks surrounding E on its backside, I guess. And there's a little ridge where snipers can camp, and they can also climb the damn antenna tower, and they can camp up there. So if you like, I noticed that whenever I try to capture E, if I'm not a sniper, I'm gonna have some difficulties with the long range shooting. Usually I ask for help, I ask for a tank or anything, and it's still really hard to capture E because it's so open. They see you coming from miles away. They see you coming. If there's anybody there defending, they see you, and it's so easy because you basically like to capture the antenna from the Russian, like from the forest spawn. If you're walking from the forest spawn towards the antenna, you basically have a big open field with like a little hill on your left side, and you have a checkpoint slash barbed wire slash that little ridge that I was talking about on your right side. And they see you coming. It's just such a like the but I love it. I just love it. I love the variation in between the E flag and the A flag, for example. That they're so different. That one is like really dense with vegetation, and there's buildings. There's the gas station. There's these sheds that you can hide in, and then there's antenna, which is just open, just open. Just you can see everything that's going on there. E feels like that's a flag that you need, like helicopter and tank support, because I've assaulted and I have defended that flag in a tank, and I've noticed that because of all the rocks that surrounds E, it's really hard to spot engineers, and it's really easy for them to hide between those rocks and just pop out, fire away at a missile, and then just pop back in. Just really annoying. If you don't have maybe two squads, one tank, and maybe a helicopter for assistance, trying to capture the flag together, it feels like it can get really fucked up. Like no, the map is so varied, and that flag in particular is just so open, and just it really invites people to engage in very long distance shooting. For all you snipers, you assholes, whom I hate a lot, you're going to love E flag a lot. That's paradise for snipers. Which, by the way, now that I've mentioned snipers, all you who have been crying on the forums asking Dice to remove reflection from the scope, after you played Caspian border, and particularly after you've tried to capture and defend E a couple of times, you'll see that fucking reflection on the scope is the only thing balancing out the sniper in the game. It's so ridiculously huge map that if you don't know where that sniper is shooting you from, you're fucked. You'll never ever be able to approach E without even, like, you're going to get hit. Like, it's so open, and like, no, the reflection, when I read that in like a little bulletin news post thingy a couple of months ago, I was like, yes, Dice, I love you, balance. Because it's ridiculous how, like, the sway thing on the snipers, that's ridiculous. It barely sways at all. But that reflection on the scope, that glare, I'm really, really, really glad they implemented it, because without it, oof, like, the frustration levels, I'd be boiling. I'd be beyond my boiling point. I'd be fucking combusting, just exploding with wrath, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen like 8 different snipers camping on that ridge, just all concentrating on one dude at the same time. It's so annoying, and it's like, I call people saying, hey, I need help, and so yeah, thumbs up for glare, and yeah, that base is probably the hardest base to capture, but still the whole map is really well rounded and really